Okay, guys, be honest with me. Do I look stupid? Be honest with me. Do I look stupid? I'm a little sad because this possibly might be one of my last videos that's about the Rachel Zegler Snow White Chronicles that we've been discussing for over the last 2 years. What are we going to do after this? I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys up close and personal so we can kiki and talk about this. Because what a moment in time. For the last 2 years, we've been all discussing the PR nightmare, which is the live action Snow White with Rachel Zegler. And if you're new here, I have made a lot of videos on this topic. I might even make a playlist. Like most of us already know, Snow White was Walt Disney's first long animated movie. It began with Snow White, and then this is the payback it got. Like, not only was it a PR nightmare with the social activists, they hired Rachel Zegler, the insufferable activist.
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Ma'am, it is not like you are Tom Cruise risking your life with every film doing these stunts. It is not like you are Stallone doing Rambo. It's not like you are Jim Caviezel on The Passion of Christ and had your shoulder dislocated and lightning strike you and almost died. I agree people should be paid for their work, and I'm not trying to dunk on the residual structure, but if you're trying to inspire sympathy from millions of people who have to go out there every day and grind on their feet, not doing luxurious things like being in a princess dress, some people working double shifts and etc. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I'd be more concerned whether or not people want to see your film at all, especially with you ragging on the original story. Like, you guys stand on the shoulders of giants and then you just take a dump on them. Disney has lost a lot of money on films that have bombed, and Disney Plus isn't making money either.
Disney's going to learn that they're not going to hire any more activists after this point. One, no one wants to listen to a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, like, political views. You haven't lived enough yet. Not to mention, Rachel Zegler has never struggled a day in her life. She was brought up very wealthy. She's brought up very spoiled. She's never struggled a day. So I really don't care what her viewpoints are.
What? I get stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, one of the very first gripes that people had when the movie was announced was obviously they hired a Latino character to play Snow White, and it's in the name, it's Snow White. So we've been calling her Snow Brown, and everyone on the left is considering that racist. It's not racist, it's fact and funny. It's not even 100% Latino. She's like me. We're half Latino, but we have olive skin. It's in the name. Don't change the story or literature. I mean, you even could have gone with an Asian person because they have white skin. You could have got, dark hair, white skin, because it's in the name. They could have sidetrack, sidebar, whatever I'm trying to say. They could have done the same thing with Snape in Harry Potter. They race swapped him with a black character, but in the books he had white skin, oily hair. That could have been an Asian person too. It's just really stupid when you do a race swap or DEI transplant just to do it. I didn't want to have to bring this up, but it's noticeable in this video. I still have a cold. It's like the longest cold. It's not a bad cold. It just hasn't gone away. So if I sound out of breath or nasally or congested, I'm sorry. I'm still sick. But this reminds me of, I saw a Gen Z talk about how they don't understand why the alt-right care about race swapping, when back in the 90s, they had a lot of movies and shows like the Cinderella they had with Brandy, and there was a lot of different races on there. And she said, we didn't call it woke back then, so she's calling us racist now. Well, this is another one I might have to do a whole video for when I explain how things were a different time. One, you weren't born yet, so let me explain what happened back there. In the 90s, early 2000s, when that Brandy Cinderella came out, I have a younger sister who's 10 years younger than me. She's a millennial. So there's a lot of cartoons and stuff I had to rewatch because I had a younger sister. And back then, we didn't see color. Those words you guys hate, we never saw color. When I went to high school, my little clique, we were all a different race. There was a few of us that were Hispanic. There was white girls. There was an Asian girl. We had an Indian girl. We had a few black girls. We had a gay guy in our clique. And no one cared. Like, we didn't talk about color like you guys do now. We weren't racist then. When it became racist is when you guys started believing the government in 2015, when they told you to demonize this president, and they told you he's racist and he's homophobic, even though he's probably the first white president who's ever dated a black woman, and even though he's the first American president to ever step into office supporting same-sex marriages. But you know, the government had to lie to you guys and had to trick you to demonize this man, and then you made everything racist. You made everything about color. That's the difference. This is where I sit here and edit and realize I didn't make my point. In the 90s and early 2000s, nothing was political. You guys made everything political. Everything became PC once Trump came in the picture because the government didn't want him to show all the corruption.
To all the white, cisgendered, heterosexual people in the room, don't speak at all during this meeting. You've had your time for long enough. You know, history has favored you. Just be quiet. And I went, that doesn't sound right. And I looked around the room that I was in, and people were nodding and agreeing, some even smiling for what she just said. And that night I went home to my white family, my conservative white grandparents who had taken care of me my entire life, made sure I went to school, made sure I had a job, made sure I got scholarships. And I thought, doesn't quite make sense to hold these two beliefs in my brain that white people are inherently racist while I have this family that's taking care of me.
And then another huge gripe was the CGI doors. Well, first of all, Disney's been going back on their word. They're trying to rewrite history, even though there's hundreds of thousands of videos us, the media, have made about it. That they can't lie about this. But remember at the beginning, they had like the magical creatures, and they weren't dwarves. They were different size, different gender. And then like it was like a leaked photo. And then they said, no, that wasn't them. But then came out and said, yes, that was going to be the dwarves. And then they needed more time to reshoot while the writers and actors strike was going on. But the writers and actors strike only lasted a few weeks by that point. And then they showed like concept art of the CGI dwarves they threw together. Well, now Disney is saying that it was always supposed to be CGI dwarves, which is full of shit. We were there. We made tons of videos. We all did. You can't rewrite history. They remind me of the government.
Woke as Disney took every measure imaginable to make this movie as least offensive as humanly possible, and only ended up offending every damn body. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody from the white folk to the dwarf folk. Everybody was offensive. Hell, even the black folk, because at least in the first rendition of what they were trying to do, you know, they fulfilled the DEI, as we could see back here. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't remember these characters in the Snow White movie. That's because you don't, because they never existed in the original Snow White.
Not a progression at all to me. There are actors, dwarf actors, that live, that dream to be in a major motion picture such as this Disney remake. And now, because Peter Dinklage said what he said last year, now it's taken away. It's not right, because these are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles, because that's not for me. These dwarf roles are for people of my stature. Think about the additional stunt actors or body doubles or that. Now you're talking multiple actors of my stature that don't get these major roles. And why? What's the reasoning?
I also want to make some corrections. In my last video, I said that maybe this movie will be saved by like the woke basic bitches, like the libtards. But I forgot that they're not going to go see it because of Gal Gadot, because she's Jewish. She was born in Israel. They call us racist, yet they hate Gal Gadot from being Jewish and being born in Israel. Like her grandfather, what's her grandfather's name? Her grandfather's name is Abraham Wise, and he's a Holocaust survivor. Because all the woke little kids nowadays side with Hamas, who wants death to all Jews, not just in Israel. For like they always have wanted all Jews off the planet ever. And Jews are like, oh my God, they're like the most smallest minority group on the planet. And since the beginning of time, people have been wanting the death of, like, just the extermination of them. And I think they're like the oldest religion. Like, they can't catch a break. Like, it's just crazy. Like, wasn't Jesus a Jew?
And you especially can't say anything about Jews. Oh, Jesus, why'd you just cut off my bars? Cartman, no Jew jokes.
I'm looking at my notes, and so much has happened since my last Rachel Snow White video because I was sick that, like, there's so many points I have to go over. They canceled the UK premiere because they don't trust Rachel saying anything she's not. So they don't want media around because they don't want Gal Gadot and Rachel saying anything about the war. They don't want, because they hate each other and, you know, they can barely take pictures together. And then there was the Oscars when Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler were like presenting, and they came in together, and Rachel was swinging her arms like they were about to fall off. And when she tries to be fake, it makes it so much worse. But like, it was so funny watching them walk out because yes, Gal Gadot is so much taller. One of her steps is like Rachel's trying to catch up with her and swing her arms while doing so.
To admit though, one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments of the night was watching Rachel Zegler waddle out on stage with Gal Gadot to present an award, looking like a small petulant child reluctantly going clothes shopping with her mum. Honestly, putting these two together in public is like parking a Lamborghini next to a Ford Escort, and you could practically feel the hostility crackling in the air around them. The promo tour for Snow White's gonna be fucking wild, man.
Oh, it was cringe, but it was kind of funny. Also at the Oscars, apparently Rachel Zegler's dress was a little too tight. There was a dress malfunction, so the whole time she kept pulling it up and making faces at the camera, like acting like a victim, a little diva, like, feel sorry for me, my dress doesn't fit. And then did you guys see when she was on the red carpet and they were trying to take pictures of her, and she, like, I don't know, allegedly maybe she took some Adderall or something, a little, I don't know. She was acting so weird. And her face, she's going to need so much Botox. But this is my impression of Rachel. When she takes a picture, she raises both eyebrows. And then she does this thing with her mouth. And she thinks she looks, I know she's trying to get just the photo. But I mean, come on, girl. You know what you look like. You kind of look like you're on crack.
I have an excellent idea. Let's change the subject.
Rachel Zegler also did a performance in Spain. I heard rumors that there was also like a small Spain premiere, but I don't know how true that is. I know she was like filming a music video for the Disney song like in Spain, and then she did like a little performance with like less than 100 people in the audience in front of the castle that was inspired by the Snow White castle. But yeah, she was the only one there. She got sent there by herself because, you know, Gal Gadot can't be there with her. And where's the prince through all this? Ooh, look at the roses. The main thing I wanted to say about this video is they sent Rachel Zegler off to Tokyo to perform solo because no one knows what's going on in Tokyo. We just had the Hollywood premiere this past weekend that was scaled down because they couldn't have media. They had an in-house like team, which means everyone they invited were paid to like pretend they liked the movie. They had the girl who voiced Ariel do the interviews with Rachel. Like everything was Disney in-house because they couldn't have Rachel say anything unfortunate.
The unpredictable, that's the surprise.
Sometimes I hear woke tard channels say that
Rachel Zegler didn't do anything except be Latino, and the right is so racist.
And it's like, you guys know what she said. She told over half the country that she hopes they find no peace because they voted for Trump, and she doesn't need their business. So this is us showing her that she doesn't need our business, and it shows that she does need our business. She truly does need our business, and so does Disney. And honestly, I don't think Disney's biggest problem is Rachel saying anything political or or anything that they don't want her to say. I think their biggest problem is her being fake, like the whole PR of it all. Like it's so transparent when she just stands there, and because we know what she said earlier. You can't take Becky's. Not to be an asshole, but Gal Gadot's not the best actress either. But Rachel's not a good actress either. I love movies. I love making movies. Even when she's talking to the little girls, it's so fake. It's transparent. It's not real.
I love everybody in this movie so dearly. Coming to the end of this road of the release feels really crazy because when you spend so much time with something, it becomes such a big part of you and a big part of your heart.
And most of the audience can see right through that. Like, yes, in the modern time, a lot of us are on the spectrum. We can't pick up on social cues, but most of us can tell that it's fake. Rachel Zegler's PR team probably told her to copy how Henry Cavill handled his PR with The Witcher. But the difference about The Witcher is that Henry never talked shit about the original video game. He never talked shit about the original. He was just saying that the people that are mad about it are passionate because they're passionate to the original. So Rachel can't come and go, oh, these fans are just, they're passionate. After Rachel has been continuing to put down the original source material since the movie has been announced, talking about how it's out of date. Maybe the prince won't even have a part. This is Hollywood, baby. Weird. The prince is creepy, is cringy, and everything else she said. You can't go back on that. You already said it. Plus, isn't Henry Cavill or whatever his name is on the right side of history? Doesn't he understand politics? I don't think he's a woke tard. Rachel Zegler's never going to work in Hollywood again. She's going to stay in Broadway, and that's good for her. I think she got Evita, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. But my advice for Rachel is to stick to Broadway and to grow up. You have a lot of learning to do. I would also pick, lean into your villain era. I would pick roles if you do any movies or TV shows that is the villain, that is the mean girl. Are you guys watching the new season of White Lotus? Well, you know the mom that takes lorazepam? The actress's name is Parker Posey, I think. Well, I love the roles she picked when she was younger because she always played the bitchy mean girl. She was on Dazed and Confused. She was on Superman before Henry Cavill.
It's hot out here and I'm really sick of looking at all of you. So let's get out of here.
All right,
What are you looking at? Wipe that face off your head, bitch. Let's go, get in the truck!
Tell me something, really, how do you sleep at night?
I use a wonderful over-the-counter drug, Ultradorm. Don't take the whole thing, just half, and you will wake up without even the tiniest hangover.
She was the bitchy girlfriend on You Got Mail, but I loved how she always played the villain or the mean girl. And I think Rachel would do good if she just leaned into the mean girl. Because, girl, you're a mean girl. You might grow out of it, but it's easier to act how you really are than to if you're not a good actress, then try to act nice and everyone can see through it because you're not nice. Let's talk about the new song they wrote for the Snow White, that Waiting on a Wish, that stupid song that Rachel won't stop singing. Well, they took out the original song that Snow White sings. You know, when she's like, he was so romantic. How does it go? Someday my prince will come. They removed it from the movie because, that's too, what's the word? Non-feminist. That was the first ever Walt Disney I Wish song. They just erased it from history. How can you do that? And you were going to replace it with a horrible song? And then someone in the comments was trying to trigger Rachel and she clapped back. She's not done talking shit. So someone was talking shit about her singing, and I think she's a great singer. She's a good singer, but I don't think she's a professional singer because the person said something like, you're not a soprano. She said something like, oh yeah, I am a soprano. Go watch West Side Story, now streaming on Disney Plus. And it's like, girl, you're really going to say you were in that another movie that failed? Name one movie that did good. That was another box office tanker. Have you been in a movie that's good? She just proved to herself in that statement that she's not a professional singer. Like, anyone that sings can hit high notes or low notes. If you're a soprano, that means that's the richest you can sing. Like, just because there's a movie where there was a few high notes, that doesn't make you a soprano. I remember when I was in middle school choir, all of us little girls, we wanted to be sopranos because we all thought it was cool to sing the highest, but that doesn't make you a soprano. Wherever your voice is the richest, I'm an alto or even lower. Like, that's, you're not a soprano just because you sing high. Like, remember New Kids on the Block, Jordan Knight? He was always trying to be a soprano. And like Justin Timberlake, they always try to sound like little high bitches. It's just you, Step 4. Someday my prince will come. Someday my prince will come.
I'm gonna come.
If you were a soprano, you would only be singing high songs because you would be a soprano, but you're not. And at the LA premiere, the only influencers that were invited are the influencers that were already like woke tards that are trying to sit at the same celebrity table that aren't going to mess up this opportunity. And, you know, they were talked like they showed all these little girls with their moms, but all the little girls were wearing the same like Snow White dress. And I know the Snow White dress is all the same, but I feel like there was someone there that handed them out before they walked in. It was so fabricated. It was so staged. It was so cringe. And the only reviews out now are from those influencers that are trying to suck on the tea. So, you know, any influencers that are really big, that's why you can't trust really big influencers, because they're just trying to become celebrities like the traditional Hollywood celebrities, and they just want to sit at the table. So we're not going to be able to trust any of the reviews till next weekend. So we have one more week until we finally get to see. I'm not going to see it. I'm going to watch everyone else's reviews. I'm not going to give them any of my money. But yeah, we did it. This is probably one of my last Rachel Zegler Snow White videos. And it was fun doing it with you guys. Subscribe if you want to kiki about other stuff. I probably will make another video. Who knows? Maybe it'll just be a short, because we're just going to find out the results if they made any money off of this train wreck of a disaster that was dead on arrival from the beginning. But if you like this one, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen.